HG. So a little bit more today. I had to take a break from the last time you guys see me. My neck and my hand and all that kind of stuff, and talking a lot there. And then I did a webisode with a buddy of mine about his pedal company, and it just made this stuff all swell up again, and then horrible earaches, like somebody sticking an ice pick in your ear, and of course my neck and my arm and all that stuff was busted. So um, we're gonna do a little bit more work today. We are going to get the neck. I got to get the fretboard glued on. So because these are CBGs or folk art instruments, you could do a regular fretboard. Well, they're not as wide as like a Fender or Gibson or something like that doing a fretboard or PRS or something. They're a little narrower, so that's why I use yardsticks as my fretboards. So I want to get that set up, glued on, get all my 10,000 clamps on it, um, and then hopefully within a few hours or something. It takes about 2 to 3 hours with this tight bond here. I've been keeping going like this because, well, I haven't used it in a year, and I just opened it. It's still good. I kept it nice and sealed. And then my wife found this wrist brace, so put it around my wrist. I can still move my wrist to where I need it. But because of what I'm going to do and cutting today and all that, it helps keep my twitching down to a minimum. Um, and I also have a special guest with me today. And so my birthday was Friday. 27th is my birthday. My wife's birthday is January 28th. And you guys remember that we lost Charger back in December. We've been kicking around the idea back and forth of getting a cat, and we've been trying to look at other cats, and both of us have. I wanted another Maine Coon. Not like Mopar. Mopar's a Maine Coon, but he's the short hair. I'm talking about like the ones that get really really large and look like a bobcat. Well, we have a new member to the family. Yeah, sweetheart. We have a new member to the family, and I figured that I would share this lovely girl with you. You guys ready to see her? Her name is Millie. She's 1 year. She's gonna be 1 years old. 1 year old. Here in May. So her birthday's coming up. But this Millie. Say hi, Millie. She's such a sweetheart. But she's a full-blooded Maine Coon, so she is absolutely gorgeous. No, she doesn't replace Charger by any means. We're trying to get her acclimated to Dinah and Mopar. So, throughout this video with me working with you guys, and we're getting closer on this build here, if I have to break off for a second, and, she's not really fighting, but her and Mopar wants to be her friend so bad, because Mopar, if you remember, his littermate, Busy, he passed away 3 years ago. And then Mopar passed away in December. So Dinah, which you guys have seen Dinah, she's our short-haired Siamese. They really don't play with each other. Dinah's gonna be 12 this year. Mopar's 6. So, Mopar really needs a friend. And little Miss Millie Moo over here, we decided to keep her name, like I said, because somebody else had her before. This lady got pregnant and had really severe allergies, so she was trying to find a home for good old Millie here. And my mom surprised me on my birthday, there Friday, and brought this lovely girl to us. And ever since then, we've been trying to acclimate them all together. And but if any of you have a Maine Coon like her, a full-blooded Maine Coon, they can get pretty tall and heavy, and that's how she's gonna be. So make sure I'm not missing your comments. I'm sorry, guys. So hold on a second. So I want to introduce Millie. I'm hoping Millie will be like Charger and all up in my work. But as soon as I get this Dremel running here again, um, she might head for the hills. But I love little Millie here. Hey guys, what's going on? So we're gonna get some more work done here on the Fallout build, and get this thing ready to go here. If you're gonna build, well, obviously, like I keep saying to you guys, this isn't a normal guitar. Um, Meaning like a brand name guitar. These are scratch coming out of my mind. Um, but if you're gonna build one of these, even if you're gonna build a regular six string, always write your stuff down that you want to do. Don't get old man brain fart and forget what you're doing 10 seconds from now. So on the docket today is we need to get the fretboard glued on. It's probably gonna take it'll probably take about 2 3 hours for it to cure the right way. Um, and then that can also leave me with doing my hole for my input jack, and then we will do the hole for the volume knob. I was gonna do a tone and volume, but I'm just gonna do a volume knob um, instead because I don't want it. I don't want to because of the bullet holes that we put in this thing. If I do any more drilling up here, it's just gonna make it weaker because there's a decent amount of wood from it. So we're gonna get rocking and rolling here. Like I said, welcome Millie to the family, guys. She's a sweet girl. She's resting on the thing right now, but we'll see. We'll see. Hey, baby girl. She's literally right here, guys. She's right on the counter. Say hi, Millie. All right, let's get the show on the road, guys. And I gotta have sweet tea, man. She's a Gold Peak extra sweet tea. Gotta have it. All right, Millie, you gonna let Dad put his drink down in front of you? Probably not, huh? I'll put it right over here. Yeah, Dad will put it right over here. Okay. So with that being said, what we also need to do is two things. I'm not going to drill my tuner holes just yet. I always wait until I get my heel put on. I think I can crack open this old one and show you guys an example. Okay. So this one's for a buddy of mine. Those are real Gibson Buckers. He didn't have the covers. He just sent me these and was like, hey man, build a guitar around it. So, this is his guitar. So what I mean by heel, I don't know how well you can see. Uh-oh. This is one solid piece of wood, and this is your heel. So, because of the fact that I try to make these as close to a guitar, which we all know that, like Fender and Gibson, they make solid bodies, and of course, these don't need a truss rod. Now, if you're gonna build a six string from a cigar box or something like that, absolutely. But anywhere from 1 to 4 strings, which is what we're doing. This is a 3-stringer. This because I built so many 3-strings for people and all that. I want to do something different with this one, and we're gonna build a 4-string. So like I said, you can see the heel right here. So this piece right here is a solid piece. It's nice. It's a nice oak. I don't know if you can see there is that aged knot. And you can see another one. Yeah, right here. Look at this. That's aged. That thing is so thick. So my other one of these necks, they broke, and I just thought, hey, look at this heel. I like this heel. If you got big hands or small hands, it fits perfectly. So you do your one solid piece, you do another piece under this, because what I do is Fender guitars don't have a backing. I don't know how many of you people know that or not. But Gibson does have a back angle. So what I have to do is I have to route out a neck pocket. So where your fretboard meets here, you want to be able to close your box and either have it go over the box or sit flush with the box. I just like this one because I did it differently, and I just did a shorter fretboard. It's a 16.5-inch fretboard instead of 18.5. Most fenders are 18.5. Unless you get the 25 scale inch fenders that are longer than the 25 inch, just by 0.5, but it's a difference. So that's one thing I need to do, and then we'll start shaping the neck after that. So that way, it feels good in your hands. You can be able to play. Another thing I do to most of these is right here. That one will probably do the same thing. Is I get those eye hooks. You can use them to hang up your plants or so many different things. Then I take a nail. I cut the end off the nail, so you won't hurt yourself. And this applies downward pressure. And of course, so when your strings are running through here, it creates downward pressure. And then of course it's all bolted in. What I do is I always will do the same thing with this one. Is after my heel is glued, is I add a screw here to the top as reinforcement, and then it's screwed into the box. So these ain't going anywhere. This is some hefty wood. This oak is amazing to work with. I never stain inside because you never see that. It's just from your heel onward. And this was the honey stain. I also have hi Millie. I also have my gun stock stain, which is used on the mini amp I need to finish, and then I just use a poly gloss coat on every build I do. Don't knock over the camera. And then here you go. So if you're gonna build guitars, some Minwax gloss. Well, this one's a warm gloss. I want it to shine just a little bit more. What are you doing, Dinah? There's Dinah in the background right there. There's old Dinah. Dinah, everybody's watching you. Okay. So, I hope that answers anybody's questions. If you guys have questions, I will make sure to keep looking in my comment section here if you guys have questions. But to backtrack one more time, so here in Illinois, you just can't go around shooting. You can't even go out to the back of the holler and shoot. Only when hunting season happens. So my buddy Alex lives in Glencaster, Pennsylvania, good old PA. And he lives in the boons, so he can just walk out his back door and fire a few rounds. So I said, Alex, put me some rounds downrange, sling the lead, because with the Fallout build, now that I got that decal on there that I wanted to get on there, is I wanted to make, since the game, and if you guys watch the show's cool too, but if you guys have played the game, you always find cigar boxes, and they're like, I think they're 2 or 3 or 5 caps. So I was like, well, what if this was like sitting in a garage or something and a gunfight and the bullets went through the wall and, it peppered the box, was kind of my thought process about all this, really. So what I need to do is I am going with my Fender scale. So this is going to be an 18.5-inch fretboard. So you can get a ruler. You just up one of these, because it's always fun doing this. My cat stepped on it. It was Charger, and he broke it, so I had to try to piece it back together the best I can. But what you do is you go from your zero nut or your. I'm trying to find my paper so I can make this easy for you guys. Everything is buried in this drawer. It's in here somewhere. No, no. Oh, shoot. It's in here. Give me a second. Where the hell is it? Did I bury it? I haven't been in this desk in over a year, so I don't even remember anymore. What I did with my oh, here they are. Here they are. I think this is what I'm looking for. So these are my scale links. I need to get, it doesn't bother me, but I actually need to get some more rulers so I can, but these are your fret scale links. .24" and these are all from CB Gitty. So this tells you where your nut or your zero fret is. So what you do is you put it on here. Give you a general idea. So basically you go right next to it, which we're gonna have to take the ruler here in a minute, and we're gonna have to zip some lines. And I have my thing over here to do it correctly. I was gonna try to walk you through scale link, but I don't remember what I did with my paper. It's gotta be in here somewhere. I'm sure it is. I'm sure I'll find it. Maybe. It's probably buried in here. Guarantee it. Alright, anyways. That's for another time. So, what we need to do is, I always use one of these. Don't ever use a permanent marker. Even when you guys saw me cut this box last time, don't use a permanent marker. Just use a pen. These are so much easier, and I'll show you why as soon as we get to the fretboard. So, I take my blank. We're going to have to cut more wood off of this in a minute. But I take my blank, take your tape measure or ruler. You're going to go right at... Okay, so this is a scarp joint. This is a back angle. So you cut that at 15-degree angle from here, and you just flip it upside down. So this nut, this knot, not nut, you see that knot right here? Right where my finger's at? That knot is where your fretboard stops up top. And then you're going from where you stop up top to what your scale length is going to be. So this is basically going to be 25-inch scale, which requires a 18.5-inch fretboard. If you build by, wanting to build by a Fender spec, which is technically what I'm doing, because I'm also making this a 4-stringer instead of 3. So, at a distance, you're kind of going to make this thing look like a normal to me guitar. It's cool to me. So, grab your trusty pen. Right at that knot. Go down here. 18.5. Alright. See these 2 marked dots? Oh, well, there we go. That dot and that dot, that's telling me where my fretboard needs to stop. But still, you can take this. So, for example, this one's too short. This is only a 17-inch fretboard. This one's more for like a 24 or 24 to 24.4 inch if you're going to build a 24-inch scale. So 17 inches. You can do 17 or 17.5. That one is also 17. No, that one's 18.5. Yeah, no. dang it, I don't remember now. 16 and a half. And this one's a 23-inch scale. Not 24. I was thinking of the last one I built back in 2024. So now that we know that, you're going to come over here. I still have so many of these. I bought these 3 years ago. 3 years ago at Lowe's. I bought 12 of these at Lowe's. And these are the thicker ones. You don't want the thin, skinny ones because they will never line up on a piece of wood you're trying to do for a neck. So, I think I got what? Like I said, I think these were like $1.75. I don't have the receipt anymore. But something like that. So what I like to do to get this thing to look like a... I hate this how you can't flip to the other side. So, right up against your knot, line it up. So what we're going to do is get that good to go. 18 and a half. I check my ruler versus that. Okay, now that that is done, all I gotta do is take my other piece of wood down here. Millie, don't touch that. This block of wood I use for everything. So I'm gonna take my other pull saw. Now that I know it's gonna be 18 and a half. Hold it firmly with my hand. Keep your fingers out of the way if possible. So we know that it's going to be 18 and a half. You stay in there, Mills? Alright, Daddy's got to cut this. Daddy's got to finish cutting. But if you're not too confident with yourself, what you can also do is basically just take a clamp. Millie, don't get close to that. Take a clamp the end to hold it securely, and then you don't have to hold your hand on it. If you're not confident about it, almost. And then once you get this cut, basically go to, if you want to build a folk art instrument like this, go to www.cbgiddy.com. You can buy fretboards from them, all that stuff. But the reason I like these Lowe's fretboard is using this as my Lowe's fretboards. Using these as my fretboards is it still gives that, you're broke at home and you want to build yourself a guitar because you can't go out and, buy a Fender or a Gretsch or a Gibson. You're bringing back the days, of the before World War I to about 1923, 1925. Are you wanting to jump, Millie? You're bringing back the days of, I'm going to build myself a guitar. And in your mind, you're like, I need a fretboard. Well, back in the day, somebody probably bought one of these for 10 cents. You know what I mean? So you're just trying to, I'm trying to bring back those glory days. But I can't fathom myself right now. I don't have the money for it, but $25 per fretboard. So you got to figure if it's I'm going to build, 10 or 20 guitars this year, and nobody's lined up to buy them. You can't really justify, spending a lot of money. To me, spending anything over $100 is a lot of money. Um, ouch. No, I don't want to snap it off. Come on, you're almost there. Freedom! Sorry, Millie. My bad. I forgot to warn you it was going to be loud. I know, you're not used to that yet, Mills. I'm sorry. Alright. Now that we got that done. Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright. Oh. Okay. Oh, what did I do with my sandpaper? Okay. So now we got that out of the way. You do your test fit from your nut. Perfectly lined up. So, in order for stain to work, I always sand these down a little bit because they put like a poly or a clear coat on them. Make sure I'm not missing anybody's comments, man. You always want to get that I don't know how well you can tell. They're not. Most of them aren't that dark. It's the only one that is. But you can see, hopefully, you see that sheen. I don't know how well you can see. My lights in the kitchen aren't that good. But there's a sheen. There's a gloss on this. You need to take that gloss completely off because this is the backside to be glued down. So you need to get this fresh. I'll go back with this fresh. And then we'll get ready to clamp it up and have some fun. What do you want to do, Mills? Alright. Yeah? Alright, baby girl. And then once you do that, later on, you take this top, get this smoothed down, because what I like to do about these is when I'm using these as my fretboards, is I like to kind of wear down the numbers just a little bit, and then when I go to, I'll probably do this one as a gun stock instead of my honey stain. So what I try to achieve is, I don't know how well you can see it, with this one, because I use my honey stain. You see how it's kind of faded? I don't know how well you guys can see that or not. You can see the gloss on there. But I like to fade the numbers. So then when you're looking at the stain and when you're playing these things, it looks so beat up and so distorted. You think that it has that appeal, has that look of it being out in the rain or sitting next to a barn, getting that sun bleach. That's kind of the look that I'm going for, and I can really do it well. What I like about these guitars is you can make your own. You know how everybody's doing those relics with the new fancy guitars? Everybody's, trying to make a beat up guitar. What I like about these, you got yourself a cigar box, you got yourself your mind, and making one of these so beat up and distressed, I want that look. Like somebody sitting on their porch, either having a smoke, or having that chaw, that nice wacky backy, and sitting back, sipping on some moonshine, and they grab their guitar that they keep leaving out in the porch. I want that look, and that's why I love every guitar I build, because every one of my necks, the whole look, fits that. And of course, this one, since we're doing a Fallout inspired build, I need to make it even more beat up. So even more beat up than this. I believe this is fancy, in my opinion, versus what we're trying to do with this one. Technically on purpose is making it ugly. Okay. So one thing you guys should get And here's the reason why. So go to your local $1.25 tree, as I like to call it, because they ain't a dollar store no more. My $1.20, your $1.25 tree. Get these guys. You can find these sanding blocks. Get a couple of these. You'll burn through them pretty fast if you're going to do guitars. I get one of these. I'll start out using it, then I'll stop, and then I'll get my. Like I said, I haven't been back in here in a year. Okay, here it is. Okay. Get your sandpaper. You can even find sandpaper. This is a big old 36 pieces. You find these next to your sanding box. $1.25 tree. Go to it. So another thing I like to do is I don't need heavy grit. I just need a finer grit. So I'll use my 150. This is the cool part. You ready for this? Just go like this. Go like this. Hold it in your hands. Voila. Or, what I also have, these are very old, by the way. These are like 1950. I also have these sanding blocks. You just use your little wing nut. Get your wing nut off of here. Millie. Window's not open, sweetheart. Not on the way. You're a big girl. Okay, so take the wing nut off. Take your sandpaper. Center it up. Like this. Put the block back down. Take your wing nut. And there you go. I try not to use this a lot because it's old. The patent number on here is 1950 and it says made in the good old US of A. So most of my stuff I like to use, I like to either find at, consignments or, somebody passed away in somebody's family, so they're doing an auction. Antique stores. I try to hunt down anything old. All my files I try to find. I'm quirky like that. Hey, Bopar, break it up in there. Gotta make sure they ain't trying to kill each other. Okay. So now that we cut this, I'm sorry, I'm trying to explain everything to you guys. Make sure I don't miss anybody's comments. All right. Okay, there's my file. Gotta file this nice and flat. Okay. All right. So as you can see, I'm just taking it lightly. Be careful with these files, don't slip, because these files, these ones will take your skin right off, no problem, if you're in the middle and you accidentally slip. It feels great, let me tell you. Okay. Block. Come on, Millie, get up here, baby. Come here. I know he just wants to play and you're not ready for that yet. I know, sweetheart. We'll get there. Okay. Get a nice pair of work pants that you don't care about and destroy them. These pants, man, are covered in so much stain and my own blood and sweat and tears. Alright. Got that nice and smooth. Okay, here comes the fun part. I'm telling you, get Titebond. And you have to look at the instructions of Titebond. Some of them take a full 24 hours to cure. Some of them say an hour. Some of them say it depends on the Titebond you use. I believe this one, it's the fast setup. I think It says an hour, but come back after 3 hours. So Titebond's like the best glue to choose from. Oh, son of a... Alright, don't want to cuss too much on here. Oh boy, here we go. Ugh! Well, that's one way to do it. I gotta put it back on there now. Always get a trusty Leatherman too. Oh, I gotta get that glue off. Alright. And another thing I have to say when you build a guitar, whether it's a CBG or folk art instrument, alright, I'm gonna put this back down here. Okay. Just take your time. Don't rush anything. Okay. Alright. Should pop back up. Okay. Alright. So you said take your sand and like I said, you can find these little blocks. You can find these guys, like I said, at Dollar Tree. I say $1.25 Tree. And the sandpaper, instead of going to your auto body shop. Well, I mean, AutoZone or O'Reilly's. I mean, obviously automotive, if most of you guys didn't follow me from my automotive days. But, so what you want to do, this backside right here, this is the side that's being glued down. So you always want to make sure that this is nice and sanded. For the glue to adhere to this, to adhere to your neck blank. Okay. I always wipe it on my pants. And then what I do is I'll grab a damp towel. Or not towel. I grab my paper towel. Now, you can use a towel, You can use a towel, but I don't think your wife would be very happy if you ruin a perfectly good towel. The best thing about this stuff is it does come off of water. Like when you're trying to adhere it to the wood, you want to get most of your stuff done, or you'll have an accidental oops, and when you go to stain and you see a spot because this dries clear, and it won't adhere to that spot because you didn't clear the glue off. Hey, Mopar, you quit? I'm trying to talk to people on a live video. Be nice to your new sissy. Quit stalking her while you're at it, buddy. All right. Okay. Alright. Now if that's done and that is ready to... I'm going to take my paper towel here in a minute, wet it. It'll be ready to go. So the other thing that we need to get done is I'm going to do a light sanding of this so that way my stain will adhere to it later. Get that done, and then I'm going to take my fret saw. My fret saw miter box. So not the saw I've used to cut it, it's this guy right here. This is the perfect one because your tang, this is designed as a tight fit for the tang. This is a Zona saw, Zona, Zona saw. And it's full of cat hair. So what this does is you take your fretboard, you set your fretboard in here, you hold it nice and firm, and you line up your holes to where your frets should be. And I'm going to take this, I might have to glue that for a second, but you're going to take this, and this is the same depth that you need to go to, and we're going to cut our frets. And so that you can also find at CBDiddy.com. Yeah, my cat ran into it and I glued it. Because you just glue it. You've got the small one, and then you have a wider 2.5 inch one in case if you're doing wider fretboards than this. They also have a fret. They also have one of these as a big giant box, kind of like this guy that I use for my scarf joints. You just put it together, so you get that nice 15-degree scarf joint. I almost said back angle. I'm so used to doing a back angle. We're gonna get to that. So I'm just gonna rough this up real fast. And for the top side, I don't push down as hard. I just want it to be lightly faded. So when I go to add my stain in, like I said, it looks like this has been sun bleached in the sun, and it's taken away the pigment, taken away the colors, and it kind of, bleeds if you see something old. I'll show you here in a minute. Alright. Alright. I know my light in my kitchen sucks, I'm sorry. But you see how that goes from, it's kind of a light to heavier? You're kind of creating that effect, like I said, if something's been left in the sun. That one's a good example, but it's a lot better in person than you guys are seeing on camera, obviously. But that's how you want to do it. You could do it heavier if you want. You can do it lighter if you want. It's just about years of experience. I grew up in two towns. I grew up in a town called Atlanta, Illinois, which crosses right through Route 66. Route 66 goes right through town. They've done a lot with our little big town. There's quite a few museums. There's the Tall Paul and all that. It's on Route 66, so it's a tourist attraction if you're traveling on Route 66. Then I grew up in a town, just small, small farm town. Those towns also used to be Stanford, Illinois. Those towns used to be, the heart of, 1800s. The heart of cattle, the heart of. There was a mine that was in Atlanta. Most people don't know that tidbit of information. And there's a barn there in town, an old grain barn. It's not used anymore. It's open for tours. But that wood is like 175 years old or 185-year-old wood, somewhere in there. I've always been fascinated with, old log cabins, things of that nature. So that's why it's kind of easy for me to build these kind of guitars because I don't want to make them fancy. Um, plus it takes a lot of money if you want to make a really really fancy one of these. I might one day maybe, but I like that rough rustic, um, you know, barbarian archaic kind of vibe. You know, so um, and I'm just a big history buff. So, I try to capture all that, really. Alright, so now I need to grab a paper towel. Don't make it too soaking wet. Don't make it too wet. Just wet enough. You want to get all that sawdust off of there. And get it off your back too. Alright, and then I gotta get on my hands and knees to get all of my um, to get all my I usually take these outside to air dry, but I'll stand by the window for a minute. It's not too wet, but you don't want it wet, especially when you go to put this on and adhere to that. So the fun part is going to be though is shaping the neck, but that's gonna wait till after this is dry. So I might come back on with you guys in a little bit. Um, I don't know if you guys want to see me shape a neck. Let me know in the comments or something. Um, I'll shape a neck. But I need to cut some of that off here in a minute. Let me just set this in the window. Alright, the top don't matter. Let the top be wet. Okay. So before I get this glued on, I can do it when I glue it on. I usually cut my frets. Um, but with this neck being the way that it is, hi Millie. You want your food? Here, come here, honey. Come here. There you go. There's your food. With this neck being the way that it is, I don't think it's gonna fit in this one the way I want it to. Actually, it will. Alright, so I'll glue it on instead. I was gonna do my fret lines, but this neck fits in that perfectly. It gives me enough room. So I'm just gonna go ahead and we'll get it glued on here. I gotta find all my actually let me wrap this up real fast. Okay. Alright. Alright, smooth enough. Okay. Let's get wiped down. I'm coming by you, sweet food, okay? Alright, watch out. Okay. Sure, whenever you stand, sure whenever you sand, whenever you're standing, clean it up. Don't forget to do that. Because if it's you're gonna get this thing slipping and sliding and rocking and rolling and being everywhere, and you really don't want that. So, all right, 50 minutes. Once again, just give it enough. Time else. Oh. Okay. Alright. And the other thing I didn't do it on camera. I did it after the fact when I did the video. If you guys know from the game, your Sunset Sarsaparilla, well, even the Nuka-Cola caps had the star. If you collect them all, you get reward. If you collect, I can't remember how many it is, but anyways, so that's just paying homage to, the video game in a quirky way. All right. I know it sounds weird, or will sound weird, but if you are a woodworker or someone who wants to be, you always need to, feel the wood, caress the wood. I was going to make a joke, but I'm not going to do that joke. I'll watch myself in case somebody wants to share this with their younger kids later on. I really wanted to say a joke, but yeah, I'll just shut it. Alright. So your biggest thing, the biggest thing for me about this is because like I said, those CB80 fretboards are very expensive. You get the ones that are fully fretted, meaning you don't have to do the fret job. You can get them with the slots cut, or you can just get the blanks and cut the slots yourself. But they're a little wider. So these are wide, but you'll see here, and this is where my sanding is going to come in. There's not that much. Maybe just a thumbnail. See that right there? It's like a thumbnail, and this is perfectly centered up. So when you go to glue your fretboards, make sure that they're straight. Make sure that they're flush. You don't have to be stingy with the glue. But the one thing, I'm going to tear some of those off here. But the one thing about, once you do that and once you get your clamps on, you're going to have to take one of your paper towels and clean all the seepage that's going to come over the sides. Clean all that off. Because one thing, like if you go to, if you do a darker stain and you don't clean all that goop that's come off of here, and you got to put stain on later, it's just gonna leave the spot, and the stain's just gonna it's gonna bleed right off of it. It's not gonna soak into your wood. And I always say that because the first guitar I accidentally didn't do that, and that's been a long time ago now. So we'll get that done. Because basically, let me show you guys. Let me hold this right here. So we've determined, I guess I can do that here. Let me do that with you guys after I glue this. But I've got to take a little bit of wood off, and you'll notice here in a minute. That's to meet with the box. It needs to be about right down here. Your fretboard needs to meet with the top of the box. So you see, this is, whoa, sorry baby, it's gonna do that. Okay, so you see this top here. Your fretboard can either A, sit flush with this, or B, overlaps it and you can have your fretboard on top. But the reason why it doesn't look that way is that we need to cut that slot. Two things. You need to cut right here. This right here. And I decided instead of going over the box to right here, I cut this little triangle out just because it looked cool to me. I don't build the same guitar. I don't do the same things, but the only thing that I do are my back angles, my scarf joints. This one's 10 degrees instead of 15. It has that Gibson. If you look at it, it has that Gibson. I think it's 10 or 15 degrees. I can't remember. I'll have to remeasure it. But what we're gonna have to do with the wood, and this is why I actually put a straight through neck. You can't see that. Yeah, you can probably see that other piece under there. But this is what we have to cut. We have to cut the depth. You have to cut the depth. If you're gonna do a straight through and through one, if you look up Shane Spiel, some of his old work, you don't have to do this kind of nonsense. But if you're trying to build one like a real guitar, you need to have that pocket. You need to cut the depth down that it is, and of course, you have to cut it to fit your pickups. Like I said, these are real Gibsons. So this cigar box, it's a nice cigar box. It's just that this one has more of like it sounds like a brick. Like a clay brick. You're beating on a clay brick instead of, here you go. You want, because the way I'm building this one too is, I can't wait for the other one to build with you guys, because that one's going to have an F-hole in it. So that one's going to be cool. But I like boxes that are really hardwoods. Like, some of them are poplar, some are, crap, I'm trying to remember. Not yellowwood. Poplar. Some are mahogany. But the mahogany ones are rare. But I always go for the boxes that ring the loudest to me. Because like this one that we're doing here, it's going to have that P90. So what I'm trying to achieve is my tonality. My tone is in my wood. If that makes any sense to you. Every guitar, I don't think most people realize, but every guitar has its own tonality. Every guitar sounds different. Now that they're mass produced on the factory line, it's not that way anymore. They all sound the same. Your tone is in the wood that you use. Like ash or alder, that's why the old tellies from 1950, the 50s to the 60s and 70s, they're great. They sound great because some of them are ash, some of them are alder, and Leo Fender just had a good eye. I've always been a loyal Fender guy. I mean, I used to have my Gibsons. I always make that joke, but I used to have my Gibsons. And I love Gibsons too. But my first love was always Fender. So, and I want a thin line Fender. I don't have one. I only have the Telly, and that's it. So that's why the next build is gonna have an F hole, and I've always wanted a Gretsch too. I love the pickups on those. I love that they're semi hollow body. It's the same thing with thin line Fender for me. So I'm wanting to capture the essence and the tone of the wood, because if I capture the tone of the wood, that means that tone and the hardtail I'm using for this, bolted to the neck, that is going to transfer and I think make this P90 really sound, like, the 1950s again, like the rockabilly days. If you can't tell by my shirt. This is actually my grandpa's shirt, so, kind of create that essence. You can get some country tones out of this, but I was really looking forward to this one, how I hear it in my head, and how I've seen the vision for this. I don't know if it makes sense to a lot of you guys out there. I don't know if it sounds crazy or not. Try to make sure I'm missing base comments. But that's what I go for. The tonality. Your tone is in the wood. The tone is in the wood, and your pickups, but the tone is also, your fingers. Your fingers, your mind, and your heart, everything working in one. But I'm thinking this is probably going to be the most tonal one I built besides the Avo or the washboards. The washboards were fun. They have good tonality. Um, I don't know, just because this box is thicker, and um, I think that's poplar. The necks are poplar, so I think that they're really gonna sing very well. I think, anyways. I'm a big nerd like that. Okay. What's got a bow in it? Son of a bitch. Well, whatever. Yeah, it's got a bow in it. I think it can take that out once I. So another reason I add heels is because usually, and it depends on the thickness of your box. Um, you have to cut a decent amount in here, and then what I do is I create a slight back angle. I'll come in here, I'll take a little bit more wood off. Oops. I'll take a little wood off. Probably at like 2.5 degrees. Some are 2.5 degrees, some are 5 degrees, 8 degrees. It all depends. But I take a little bit of this wood off too, and I create that back angle. So what the back angle means is that the break of when this is going to be lined up is so not only for the tension of your strings, because the tension of the strings are going to be pushing down on the neck and try to pull up a little bit, especially on your headstock. So the reason for the back angle is to help that, to alleviate and let it have some breathing room. Thing that really helps is actually creating a scarf joint. You can see it right here, and then you rotate it. If I get some more neck lengths, we'll definitely go through that for some of you guys. But that's the major thing, is adding more strength, adding more support, because I'm taking out some wood. So that's why I always add a heel. That's just me, anyways. So I'm gonna take a little bit more off here. Okay. Oh, actually, got me. Oh, perfect. All right. Okay. All right. Okay. Oh. Oh. Okay. Now to really show you, I gotta take a little bit of this wood off to get this to fit perfectly right. Ugh. Alright. Oh. Alright, so I gotta take a little bit more wood off. Jack my chair up. Hi, Mills. What you doing, honey? What you doing, baby? What you doing? Daddy's doing some work. Yeah, Daddy's doing some work. It ain't open. It ain't open, girl. Where are you? Alright, honey. Alright. I think my big boy is. What are you doing, sweetie, huh? What are you doing? Dad's trying to get some cutting done. Oh, that's some thick ass wood. Whew! Hot dog! See, these are the most boringest parts, but I want you guys to, I want you guys to know and understand that a lot of stuff takes time. I know I talked a lot, but like I'm trying to like help you guys understand, just in case if you want to, try these things. What to consider for yourself. I'm trying to get this done because my hand's shaking. But this wrist brace is really helping. Because if I took it off right now, I'd look like I had Parkinson's, unfortunately. How bad it is. Okay. What's up, Mills? What's wrong, Millie? What's wrong? You don't like Daddy sawing? I'm sorry, I know you're new to the house. All the other guys know. You want more food? Alright, let's get your food. Let's get your food, Mills. Alright. Are you hungry? You hungry, honey? Alright, let's get you some food. Let's get your food back in there. Alright. Okay. Alright. There you go, honey. Alright, here you go. I got Millie food, not you guys. You guys got plenty of food to go. And give Millie some more food. Here you go, honey. I'm sorry, you don't like my sawing. So, we're trying to get old Millie girl, used to all this craziness. So, yeah. Now, you may be wondering, asking yourselves, especially later on watching this, I know it's long, but I just have a lot to talk about. I want to try to get the stuff out of my mind to you guys. Um, you may be asking yourself, well, why won't you use your saw? Well, I have a big one down here, an old hand saw. It's about 1945, 1948. It's stamped. I can't remember. It's covered. And I only have my other damn handsaw. I don't have a nice fancy stuff to do this to make my life easier and quicker. One day, hopefully. This is my struggle. It's my adventure. Where you at, Mouse? Hi, honey. Daddy's almost done. I promise. Dad's almost done. Well, maybe. Partially. So basically, in a nutshell, I do everything the hard way. And then it kills me later. It's all fun and part of the adventure. Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright. Okay. Oh shit, I gotta get all my clamps out. Oh man. I forgot I gotta glue that fretboard. Okay. Okay, let's get you guys. Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright. Okay. Alright, take fretboard. Fretboard. Perfect. So let me get this hole held right. Because I need to add blocks for supports in here. So basically, in a nutshell, me in a nutshell. If you know what movie that is, you're awesome, man. So, your fretboard is going to be right there. But I need to cut that groove down, and then I need to add big blocks inside of here to raise the neck up, the neck up, because this is a thick box. So instead of using smaller shims, that's why I keep stuff like this when I'm cutting. I got more buried in here, but that other one I just had a minute ago. So that's why I keep them so I can cut them and use my blocks, because I put blocks in there too. So when they're screwed in, this neck is beefy. These necks I make them beefy, so then that way for the string tension, because they want a bow, and they want a bow, and then the neck wants to pull the tuners. So that's why you got to make it pretty rigid, pretty stout. And the other thing is, so put this in here. So from your nut or 0 fret, try and get this to stay here. From your nut or 0 fret, you're going to go from that to where your saddle's going to be. And my saddle is going to be right at 25 inches. I can go 25.5 to squeak in a 25-inch scale. So basically, in a nutshell, me in a nutshell. Okay. So you go from here. That's 26 inches. I could do a 26-inch scale if I wanted to, meaning where your saddle's going to sit, but instead I'm going to do a 25 or 25 and a half. I'm going to use a floating saddle that you can adjust. I just got to figure out what that's going to be, because I might have to dig through my old bolts and bends and stuff, because I don't have any more good wood that I can use for saddles anymore. Most of the stuff is for use as bracing. But yeah. So the other job to do for me, to wait a few hours, which I might come back with you guys in the next day or two, because this is probably going to take me 2.5 hours. I come back and look at it each time, but I need to get that done in order to get this on here, so I can start doing my other cuts that I need to do and cut. Because this is some pretty stout wood, man, I'll tell you what. But once we start taking away some of it, we can make it weak. Once again, that's why I put thick heels on. From right at the end of this wood, and it's going to be 8 inches out the back, a heel. So it'll probably be about right. I think it'll probably be right there. So I really jumped from. To get my clamps on, but I'll just get you guys. Steps are gonna Millie. I gotta pull all my clamps out and put this on. So I'll either come back and jam with you guys and tomorrow or something. We'll see how I'm feeling. Even that little bit of work, yeah. Let me get this all duded up. I gotta think of other stuff here too. So once again, take your list and 18-amp-inch fretboard, done. Cut the back angle, not done. Pickup pocket, not done. Wood burn the name, that stuff's not done yet. But you get the general idea, the general gist of it. Plus, I really need a cigarette, so. Yeah. But I love you guys. Just thank you all so much for love and support. And little Millie over here. Say hi, Millie. Millie. She's such a pretty girl. But I just love you guys. Thank you all so much for love and support. There's just not much else I can do. Besides drill my other holes, I can do that, but I really want to turn some music on to drill my volume and tone knob and figure out where my volume knob is going to be. So, but I love you guys. Just say hi to Millie. Say hi, Millie Moo. Millie. Mew. Millie. Millie. Hey. Say hi to everybody. Say hi, Mew. Say hi, Mew. She's such a sweet girl. All right, but I love you guys. I'm gonna do that stuff for myself. You know, I really want some music. So just everybody hang in there. We'll catch you on the flip side and the dark side of the moon back here at HG here very soon. And I can't wait to start getting this thing pieced together and stained and all that fun stuff, guys. Like I said, I gotta get all my clamps out. I'm gonna do that work, and we'll just go from there. But I love y'all. Thank y'all so much for love and support. Thank you for some of you guys hanging out for 1 hour and 20 minutes. I surely appreciate that. I hope a lot of this has made some sense, and I hope this video will help some people out once it's, up later on. Like I said, I'm gonna crank up some tunes for a little bit and do this little bit of work myself, and yeah, just spend time with our Keeters, especially old Millie over there. But I love you guys. Thank you guys so much for love and support. Thank you for hanging out with me. Yeah, that's all I gotta say. I love you guys so much, and out.